Well, I'll tell a fun story about how I came across. This is my favorite sort of after party game. So I was in Germany in 2012 with my best friend slash wingman, and we basically rented a car in Paris and did a lap around Europe, like Paris to Belgium to Amsterdam to Germany to Budapest to Croatia, south of France, back Spain, like did a lap for like 2.5 months. And it was the kind of the beginning of the trip, heading to Germany. And I was doing a bunch of day game and cold approach, and he was kind of being a bitch and just taking a lot of work calls and not really doing it. One night, we got into Dusseldorf, and I'm like, yo, let's go out. Let's check out Dusseldorf. He's like, dude, it's like a Tuesday. I'm just gonna like work. So I went down to like the main area in Dusseldorf, and there's a bunch of like bars and restaurants, and there was I think the World Cup was on, and the bars were packed. And I remember just kind of like walking into a bar. All of a sudden, there was like this group. It was like 11 Germans, 6 girls, 5 guys. And I just started chatting with one of the guys. And before I knew it, he was like, hey, will you play this game with us? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So all 11 of them were standing around like a table. It was like a high table. There was a bucket of ice and a bottle of, alcohol in the middle. I think it was like Captain Morgan or something. And one of the guys was like, ready, set, go. And all of the guys pulled a piece of ice out of the bucket, put it in his mouth, and he passed it to the left. And the way that the game was set up, it was girl, guy, girl, guy, girl, guy. So they needed one more guy, and I was the 6th guy. So all of a sudden, like the girl who was like one away from me, because I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't grab the ice, but she just like turns to me, and I get the ice from her mouth. Right? You can't use your hands. So she basically, puts it in my mouth with her mouth. And then I pass it to this girl. And it goes around. And if the ice melts, that person has to take a shot. Or if the ice drops, you have to take a shot. And then after like a minute or two, the guy was like, rotate. And then all the guys like went the next. So within the spirit, within 5 minutes, I'd made out with all 6 of the girls. And some of them were in relationships with some of the guys. Some of them are single. I went home to my, went back to the hotel me and my buddy were staying at, and he's like, how was your night? I'm like, oh, I made out with 6 German girls. How was yours? So when he was so pissed to realize that he missed what I call the ice game. But we spent the next month and a half like cruising around Europe, getting people to play this ice game with us. And it's so easy to get people to play that because it's like they don't even know what's happening. And all of a sudden they're being passed ice. And what happens, of course, the girls who aren't into you, they'll just pass you the ice really quickly. But the ones who are, they'll get some tongue action there. They'll let it linger. And it's all like, it's a sleazy as fuck game, but it's not sleazy because we're just passing ice, right? So I use that as an example of one of the sort of like fun after party things you can do. And the girls who won't want to play, they'll be like, whatever, this is gross. But you'll be surprised. Girls want to play these games.
Dude, that's fucking hilarious.
And it gets the party started.
I love that.
So.
Well, do you have like, you're going to have to give me like special access to one of your backend modules that has how to set that up because I got to try it. And I know I'm going to fuck it up when I go to attempt to do it. Be like, okay, guys, like new game.
Well, the trick is you just like, you can, what I usually do, it's just like, I tell one other friend that we're going to do it and then we just do it. And it's just a frame thing. If you just do it, like everyone else will just do it with you. Even like there's the social pressure of the girls who even don't want to do it. They'll still just do it, So obviously it's
innocent enough to, yeah.
And you don't really explain the rules. Like the way I explain the rules, like I get the bottle of booze, I get the bucket of ice, I have people line up, right? So we line them up and like, okay, if the ice falls down, you drink and you can't use your hands to pass the ice. Ready, set, go. So they're like, what? I don't even know the rules. But then I've got the ice and I pass it. And I make sure the girl next to me is somebody who's not going to like reject the pass of ice, and then like pass it along. And it's fine if it's like girl, you just don't want to have like 2 guys next to each other because they're not going to pass the ice most likely. So,
well, and dude, that game is genius, man, for a lot of different reasons, because like not only does it like spice it up and like it breaks kind of some of that like touch barrier and stuff, which is really important for attraction and escalation and all that stuff later on, but not a lot of guys get that experience, man. Like not a lot of guys get that social experience where maybe you're a little bit nervous, like kind of like your heart is beating a little bit fast because like it's fun and it's exciting, and you have to be able to hold the tension. And if I think that's important, you know, even having that experience, like you said, maybe it's kind of raunchy, maybe it's a little like risque, and there's some guys that are listening and they're like, I just want to find my wife, I just want to get to the one, and I don't want to play these games, I don't want to be that dirtbag or that douchebag. And the reality is that you have to have a little bit of that somewhere in you. Like you
Yeah.
have to have some of that edge. You have to be the guy that at some point in time was able to handle the pressures of that type of situation, at least to some degree, even in just like in a small amount, you know? Like you don't have to be that guy forever. And like for me, I love those games. Like I'll probably play those games for like too long into my life.
Right.
Um, you know, find a girlfriend that loves to play it even in a relationship type of thing.
Yeah.
But for guys that don't want to do that, like I think that's a mistake. I think that if you didn't try it at least once, then you have an Achilles heel. What do you think about that?
I agree. Like every girl understands that within every guy, there's, call it an old dirty man, or like you know, the devil emoji, right? There's a hornball in there. There's a dirty dog.
Mhm.
And if you don't own that, and if you pretend like you're above that, or you're, you know, too good for that, or you're not that guy, you're more sophisticated, they're going to know you're full of shit. And that's
Right.
going to cause a little bit of, maybe a lot of bit of problems down the road in your relationship. Like if you're unwilling to own your sexuality and own like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to make out with 6 hot girls? I'm a single guy, right? I've got
Right.
a dick and it has a mind of its own. I'm the same as every other, you know, the other 4 billion guys on the planet, right? Like if
Yeah.
you can't own that, you know, you're full of shit. And women understand that. And like, they might look at me. My wife's a perfect example. Like before I met her, she understood that she thought I was a total sleazeball because
Yeah.
of what people had said about me, you know, because they'd been to my parties, and the games get a lot more raunchy than that. And then there's some others that are way less raunchy. Like, you know, there's Jenga where you write on the blocks and it might say like, you know, give a hug to the person next to you, or kiss the person next to you, or trade shirts with the person next to you. You know, you're pulling a Jenga block and there's got instructions on there, right?
Yeah.
And maybe one of the blocks or a few of the blocks have like a black dot on the end where, you know, if you pull one of those, it's something a little bit more risque. Right? So I've got like 2 different sets of Jenga blocks. Like one is like the, you know, PG-13, and then maybe one is like the X-rated one that you might want to bust out if it's like a really, you know, sexual crowd, and it's you know, give a blowjob to fruit, or make the girl squirt next to you, or like who knows, right? So obviously that's more of like the sex party Jenga, you could say. My wife like thought I was a sleazeball. Her friend is the one who's like, you got to come meet Robbie. He's really cool. He's never tried to like hook up with me because I had friend zoned her on purpose. It's whatever you've heard isn't true. Just come meet him. And she's like, no, it's true. You'll see. I'll show you. And then she came over, and of course that was, you know, now we're married. But like, even if you have maybe a little bit of a negative reputation, they say any press is good press. These games, like you said, it's just like, it's a way to have fun and enjoy. And yeah, you're not going to bust that out in the first hour of a party. But, you know, there's a bunch of people lingering, and they're, you know, the night is getting boring. And most after parties, like it's just people standing around talking or smoking. Like you want to do something that gets the crowd involved and creates a little bit of tension and fun. So that's kind of at the crux of what I found to be the most interesting, just for me socially, right? Like after I spent a ton of time dating, I was like, well, it's way more fun to host a party. And the status you get from hosting a party allows you to build your circle and meet cool guys. And so I just kind of took this party hosting thing to like the furthest possible level, because I also knew it was going to allow me to connect with the coolest girls and the coolest guys. Because like you don't want to, you know, like in Japan, for example, like when before a business deal is done, they go golfing, and they do not discuss anything in the first, you know, round of golf. It's 5 hours, 6 hours. You know, you play 9 holes, you go to lunch, then you play the back 9. No business is allowed to be discussed. But what happens in 5 or 6 hours on the golf course, you see the person's true nature. They're pissed off or they're happy or whatever. Like everything happens at a round of golf. And it's the same with dating. Like you don't want to go into it being like, okay, tell me about your life and blah, 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 like any boring first date. right? You want to
Yeah,
like get to know the person in real life and then see, okay, maybe there's a spark, maybe there's some chemistry here. That's the organic way to do it, you know?
yeah,
And what I love
yeah,
about your system is you're just basically allowing for those connections to happen a lot faster than the
for sure.
grassroots style way of getting people to come to an event, which, takes a lot longer if you're not doing direct response.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. No, and we've got guys in the group that are taking it in a direction that I'd never even considered. Like hiking parties, some really wholesome stuff that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The idea here is that you can create a community around anything. And odds are there's people that are exactly the same as you that are similar age, similar interest, similar height, similar everything, and are probably wondering the same thing. Where's my tribe? Where's my group that has a like-minded aspirations and wants to do the same activities? The ad coming across their Instagram for exactly whatever that thing is, whether it's, hiking social or rooftop party for young professionals, for the people that see it and actually respond. I mean, you got to imagine like it's what they've been waiting on.
Yeah.
It's what they've been waiting to see. So, like quality wise, we can talk about that too. I will say this, like with the ads, it's obviously, there's a big, it's advertising, you're advertising to a cold audience. It's a mixed bag. There's
Right.
just going to be this, this standard distribution. I'd say where the standard distribution of quality lies, like from a female perspective, is slightly above what you would just get if you had like a really good dating app, right? But it's not about that. Like everybody wants, and there's ways to hack it so that you can just get nines and tens if you put out an ad with something to do with modeling, for example, or if you have something to do with photography, photo shoots. Like there's ways to hack it to get models replying to your advertisements.